The day Ibrahim Traoré disappeared. What really happened in Ouagadougou? Red Square Part 1: The Vanishing. The sun had barely risen over Ouagadougou when the whispers began. First it was small things. A driver who waited outside the presidential palace said the gates hadn't opened. A journalist on the morning shift noticed no press release had been sent out. And then a soldier, visibly shaking, told his friend that the president's personal guards were standing outside the palace looking lost. Something was wrong. Deeply wrong. President Ibrahim Traoré was missing. No one saw him leave. No one heard a helicopter. No convoy had moved. His phone line was dead. His office was locked. His home inside the presidential compound was empty. No clothes disturbed, no signs of struggle, no farewell notes. Just silence. In a city already tense with international pressure and whispers of betrayal, this silence was deafening. By 9 a.m., the military command had gone into lockdown. Troops were stationed at all main roads, and the air buzzed with helicopters scanning from above. At the airport, flights were suddenly delayed. People were asked to stay calm, but no one could explain what was happening. Inside the military base near Kosiam, Captain Suleiman, one of Traoré's closest allies, stood in disbelief. "I saw him last night," he said, pacing. "We had dinner together. He was calm, focused. He told me, 'Brother, something big is coming.' I thought he meant politically. I didn't think he would vanish into thin air." Rumors began to fly across social media. "He's been kidnapped. France is behind it. No, he left to lead a secret army in the north. He's dead." But none of it made sense. Traoré had enemies, yes. Powerful ones. International powers. Corporations. Mercenaries. But he also had loyal people. Millions across Burkina Faso who believed in his fire, his passion, his promise of an Africa that could stand tall. Now their hero was gone. In the heart of the city, a young girl named Awa sat with her grandmother, watching the news on a crackling television. Awa loved President Traoré. She once wrote him a letter asking if girls like her could also become soldiers to defend Africa. She never got a reply, but her hope never faded. "Grandma, where do you think he went?" The old woman sighed, her voice low and heavy. "Men like him don't vanish, Awa. They're taken. Or they leave to fight a war we're not ready to see." By sunset, the nation was in panic. Markets closed early. Streets emptied. Radios played only traditional drums, a sign of mourning and uncertainty. Yet no one had declared him dead. 'Cause no one knew. No one saw. No one understood. But deep in the northern desert, far from the eyes of the media, a single black jeep rolled slowly across the sand. Inside it sat a man wearing military boots, a simple brown cloak over his shoulders, and a cold fire in his eyes. He looked forward, not back, not yet. Red Square Part 2. The last message. Before he disappeared, President Traoré had recorded something. It was not a speech. It wasn't a press release. It was a message, a raw, unscripted voice note, sent to only one person, Captain Suleiman. The audio was only 43 seconds long, but it would change everything. "Brother," the message began, his voice calm but serious. "If you receive this, then I've already gone. Do not panic. Do not search for me. They are coming, and if I remain visible, the nation will fall. I have to move before they do. Tell the people. I'm not hiding. I'm preparing." Captain Suleiman sat frozen as he listened to it again and again. What did he mean? Who was coming? The message wasn't clear. But the timing was terrifying. Just hours after receiving it, the military discovered that 2 foreign operatives had been captured trying to enter the palace from the rear gardens. They carried fake IDs and silent pistols. When questioned, they remained silent. And now the president was gone. Inside military intelligence rooms, phones rang non-stop. Analysts reviewed satellite images. Security chiefs studied maps. Generals argued. Some believed Traoré had staged his disappearance to test loyalty. Others thought he was assassinated in silence. But Suleiman knew one thing. Traoré was alive. He could feel it. Across the country, emotions boiled over. Crowds formed in city squares demanding answers. Mothers wept. Youth marched in anger. Street artists began painting massive murals of Traoré, calling him the Ghost Lion. But deep in a hidden village near the Mali border, an old woman sat in her hut, holding a radio. Buzzed with static. Suddenly, her eyes widened. She heard it just 1 second. Voice. I am still here. Red Square Part 3, The Ghost Lion. Traoré had become a myth. In just 48 hours, people were no longer asking, where is he? They began saying, he will return. They called him the Ghost Lion, the spirit that walks silently, watches carefully, and strikes without warning. His face was painted on walls. His words quoted like scripture. Markets named their goods lion bread, Traoré rice, freedom tomatoes. People weren't afraid anymore. They were hopeful. The Ghost Lion would come back. But in a hidden base, far beneath the surface of the Sahel, Traoré sat surrounded by maps, reports, and weapons. He wasn't running. He was building. With him were 15 hand-picked warriors. Men and women he trusted with his life. One of them, Isata, had once saved him from an ambush. Another, Malik, was a tech genius who hacked foreign drones. They weren't soldiers. They were a family. He called them the Silent 13. Together they had uncovered something dark, evidence that a secret meeting had taken place in Europe. Traoré had spies there. The meeting included officials, businessmen, and mercenaries. The plan was simple. Remove Traoré quietly, install a puppet leader, and regain access to Burkina Faso's gold. They don't want me gone, Traoré told his team. They want our dreams buried. He knew then. He couldn't protect the people by sitting in the palace. He had to strike from the shadows. He had to become what they feared. Red Square Part 4, The Secret Meeting. The room was dimly lit. A long table stretched from wall to wall, surrounded by men in suits. Some were white, some were black. All of them were powerful. They weren't leaders. They were controllers, men who moved money, arms, and influence like chess pieces. And at the center of the table sat a dossier marked with one name: Ibrahim Traoré. He's unpredictable, one man said. He's mobilizing youth, blocking our companies, refusing deals. He's dangerous, another added. He's starting something bigger than Burkina Faso. Other nations are watching. Some are following. A woman leaned forward. We offered him money. He refused. We offered partnership. He refused. He doesn't want a seat at the table. He wants to flip the table. Silence followed. Then came the order. Remove him. Quietly. No blood in the streets. No headlines. Just gone. That was the plan. But they didn't know one thing. The lion had already left the palace. And he had teeth. Part 5. The Strike Plan. Back in the underground base, Traoré knew time was running out. The foreign agents had failed. The next move would be bigger, something explosive, something designed to send a message. They would try to destabilize the country. Cause chaos. Blame Traoré for the mess. And then swoop in with help. It was an old trick. But Traoré had seen the pattern before. Libya. Mali. Ngo. He laid out the plan with his Silent 13. They would intercept communications, sabotage supply lines, and expose traitors planted inside the Burkinabe system. And then, they would disappear again. Not because they were scared, but because real power doesn't shout. It moves in silence. Part 6. The Betrayer Within. Among the highest levels of command, a traitor was hiding. His name was Colonel Issouf. He smiled in front of cameras, called Traoré his brother, and pretended to be a patriot. But at night, he spoke with foreign agents on encrypted phones. He shared troop movements, passwords, and secret plans. It was Issouf who allowed the foreign operatives to enter the palace gardens. It was Issouf who leaked Traoré's sleeping quarters to the enemy. But Traoré had known for weeks. He fed Issouf false information, stories that led nowhere, missions that turned up empty. And now, as Issouf prepared to make his final move, he received a letter with no signature, no return address. Only 7 words written in perfect handwriting. Lions don't roar before they kill. Issouf didn't sleep that night. Part 7. The Message to Africa. On the 5th day of his disappearance, a video appeared online. No one knew who uploaded it. No one knew how it got past surveillance. But the man in the video was clear. It was Traoré, dressed in desert colors, standing before a flag made of dust and stars. "My name is Ibrahim Traoré," he said. "I have not fled. I have not hidden. I have prepared. What is coming is not a war of bullets. It is a war of truth. A war for our souls. A war for Africa." He raised his hand. "To every youth who dreams of freedom, hold the line. I will return." The internet exploded. And so did the fear in the enemy's heart. Part 8. The Ambush. At 2:13 a.m., in a desert not far from Djibo, a convoy of enemy mercenaries rolled through the dunes. They were hired killers, French-speaking, well-equipped, paid to finish what the agents had failed. But someone was waiting. Buried under the sand, camouflaged with the earth, the silent 13 lay still, hearts calm, triggers ready. Signal came. A hiss, like wind across dry leaves. The trap was sprung. Explosions tore through the convoy like lightning. Tires burst. Men screamed. Drones fell from the sky like broken birds. But Traoré didn't watch from a distance. He was in the fight. Silent, swift, precise. One mercenary survived, crawling with bloodied hands, praying in a language no one understood. Traoré walked up to him. "I didn't disappear," he said softly. "I became what you fear." The survivor dropped his weapon. Traoré let him live. To tell the tale. Part 9. The Rise of the People. The capital was on fire, not with flames but with spirit. The people had risen. Inspired by the video, by the murals, by the songs sung by children in the streets. Mothers wrapped in traditional cloth shouted, "Traoré is not gone. He is coming." Young men sharpened tools and patrolled neighborhoods. Elders held prayer circles. Soldiers who once waited for orders now moved with purpose. Colonel Issouf tried to escape. But the people caught him at the airport. They didn't beat him. They simply stood in silence and watched as he was arrested by young officers, boys who had once doubted Traoré, now ready to die for his cause. Suleiman returned to the palace. Not to rule, but to prepare. For the lion was on his way back. Part 10. The Return. 10 days after he vanished, a convoy of black jeeps rolled into Ouagadougou at dawn. No sirens, no announcements, just a quiet drumbeat rising from the streets. One by one, people came out of their homes. They stood, they watched, they waited. And then he stepped out, boots on the ground, as like fire. Ibrahim Traoré had returned. The silence broke into cheers. Cheers. He climbed onto a platform and raised his fist. "I did not leave you," he said. "I went to fight for you. I went to remind them that Burkina Faso is not for sale. Africa is not for sale." His voice shook the air. "And now we rise together." That day was named the Day of the Lion. And the world would never forget. Then, please I plead with you to like, share and follow my YouTube channel for more interesting videos.